Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Vidya Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Muriraye Nashta Preshu Abhareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistihiki. Today we are reading from Canto 4, chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Text 1 through 11. Text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued. Vichitaswa, the eldest son of Maharaj Prithu, who had a reputation like his father's, became emperor and gave his younger brothers different directions of the world to govern, for he was very affectionate towards his brothers. Text 2. Maharaja Vichitaswa offered the eastern part of the world to his brother Hariaksha, the southern part to Dhumrakesha, the western part to Vrika, and the northern part to Dravina. Text 3. Formerly, Maharaja Vichitaswa pleased the king of heaven, Indra, and from him received the title Antardana. His wife's name was Sekindani, and by her he begot 3 good sons. Text 4. The 3 sons of Maharaj Antardana were named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi. Formerly, these 3 personalities were the demigods of fire, but due to the curse of the great sage Vashishta, they became the sons of Maharaja Antardana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire. Text 5. Maharaja Antardana had another wife named Nabhasvati, and by her he was happy to beget another son named Harvirdana. Since Maharaj Antardana was very liberal, he did not kill Indra while the demigod was stealing his father's horse at the sacrifice. Text 6. Whenever Antardana, the supreme royal power, had to exact taxes, punish his citizens or fine them severely, he was not willing to do so. Consequently, he retired from the execution of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. Text 7. Although Maharaja Antardana was engaged in performing sacrifices, because he was a self-realized soul, he was very intelligently rendered a devotional service to the Lord, who eradicates all the fears of his devotees. By thus worshipping the Supreme Lord, Maharaja Antardana, wrapped in ecstasy, attained his planet very easily. Text 8. Havardhana, the son of Maharaja Antardana, had a wife named Havardhani, who gave birth to 6 sons named Barhishat, Gaya, Sukla, Krishna, Satya, and Jita Vrata. Text 9. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, Havardhana's very powerful son named Barhishat was very expert in performing various kinds of fruitive sacrifices, and he was also expert in the practice of mystic yoga. By his great qualifications, he became known as Prajapati. Text 10. Maharaja Barhishat executed many sacrifices all over the world. He scattered kusha grasses and kept the tops of the grasses pointed eastward. Text 11. Maharaja Barhishat, henceforward known as Prasinarabhadhi, was ordered by the supreme demigod Brahma to marry the daughter of the ocean named Satavdruti. Her bodily features were completely beautiful, and she was very young. She was decorated with the proper garments, and when she came into the marriage arena and began circumambulating it, the fire god Agni became so attracted to her that he desired her company, exactly as he formerly desired to enjoy Sukhi. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vidya Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll offer prayers and we'll continue. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we're in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 24th chapter today. What we heard so far was several chapters of King Prithu Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj pastime, primarily how Prithu Maharaj ruled the kingdom, how Prithu Maharaj gave the instructions to the citizens, how Prithu Maharaj received instructions from four Kumaras after receiving them nicely, and then we heard how Prithu Maharaj left this planet and went back to spiritual world also in the last chapter. So now this chapter is like a transition to another bigger pastime. So this chapter is called Rudra Gita in Sanskrit. That means in this chapter we'll see the prayers of Lord Shiva to the Supreme Lord, and that prayers is giving to uh, Prachetas, who are the grandsons of Prithu Maharaj. Yeah, actually, great grandsons of Prithu Maharaj. So that is the essence of this chapter. But before we go there, a storyline is building up in these first 11 verses now by giving the genealogy. That means how the dynasty is continuing after Prithu Maharaj, like that. That is this section primarily. And this section has two broad things. One is the genealogy, how from Prithu Maharaj different children came, grandchildren came, like that, to get up to Prachina Barhisat, number one. And then it briefly describes Prachina Barhisat's expertise in performing karma kanda sacrifices, like that. And the last verse for today talks about marriage of Prachina Barhi to his beautiful wife. That's where we end today. So we'll discuss some details now. So let me see something. Yeah. So basically, going back to text number 1 of this chapter, which is called Chanting the Song Sung by Lord Shiva, you might have noticed the title of the chapter usually means that is a key activity that is happening in the chapter. So that will come to later in the later verses of this chapter, which is the Rudra Gita I mentioned. So the text one, as we know, the whole conversation is going on between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So Maitreya Muni here is describing the story. After Prithu Maharaj left the planet, went back to spiritual world, his elder son, eldest of his sons, his name was Vijitasva. And we'll find out he has another name called Antardana in the coming up verses. So he had a great reputation like Prithu Maharaj, it seems. And then he became emperor of the whole world. And because he was very affectionate to his brothers, he gave some service to his younger brothers. What service? He gave different directions of the world to uh, govern them. Prabhupada writes in the purport that normally the eldest of the sons of a king in the Vedic culture is usually qualified, and they make him the next king or emperor, like that. That's the normal practice. Of course, exceptions will be if the elder son is not very qualified, then the exception will be there, that somebody else will be chosen as a king instead. So, and then he is giving the example of Pandavas, how within the Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj became the emperor after Kurukshetra war. But then his younger brothers were not sitting idle. They were assisting Yudhishthira Maharaj in ruling of the kingdom, like that. That's the example Prabhupada writes in the purport. So what we see here is Vijitasva became the emperor, and he was very famous also. And he did not keep everything to himself, mine, like that. He shared the kingdom and the ruling responsibilities with his younger brothers also. That's what we learn from verse number 1. Going to verse number 2, remember Vijitasva gave different directions for a different of his younger brothers to rule. Those places are being mentioned here. How eastern part, western part, northern part, and southern part are mentioned in verse number 2. Going to verse number 3, this is recounting the incident where during the Prithumara's sacrifices, Indra was stealing the horse several times, right? So it is recounting that incident where Indra was pleased with Vijitaswa's behavior and he gave him a title called Antardana. What is the context? Prabhupada explains in the purport more. Essentially, even though Indra was stealing the horse of the sacrifice, Vijitaswa recognized that Indra is a devotee of the Lord, Indra is a servant of the Lord, Indra is a great demigod. Considering all these things, Vijitaswa gave him respect and left him alone without punishing him directly. So that Prabhupada is appreciating in the purport. And uh, and then the background Prabhupada is explaining how Indra at that time gave him a title called Antardana. This Maharaj Vidyasva, he gave him a title called Antardana. Antardana means becoming invisible. And Prabhupada explains in this and coming up purport that demigods like Indra had this special yoga skill that they can be invisible. So that same boon or benediction they gave it to, Indra gave it to Vijitasva. That's why it's called Antardana. So you notice when we um, serve great people, they want to give some benediction, some blessings. So that is one lesson we can learn from for our life also. Normally, whether we need something from others or not doesn't matter. If we try to be in a mood of service to others by trying to serve them in some way or other, especially for them to grow in Krishna consciousness somehow or other, little bit, then that is pleasing to others and will receive lots of blessings. Whether it's a devotee or a non-devotee, we can receive blessings from them. Of course, the the main ultimate goal in our life we should not forget, which is to please Krishna and to get to the pure devotion service of Krishna. Whatever we are doing is towards that end only, to please Krishna, to situate in pure devotion service to Krishna. But how is Krishna pleased when we serve others? And including Vaishnavas especially, Krishna is very pleased. So with that mood, we can be always situated in mood of service to receive the blessings of others. And on the contrary, if we don't please others, if we displease others, we'll not get blessings, we'll get curses. So that's not good for our spiritual growth. Okay? That is one thing we can note from here. Second thing we can note here is whenever I was reading a quote from Prabhupada today, I think, somewhere that Prabhupada mentions, if we receive something from somebody, but we don't do any service in return, then we become a debtor to them. So we need to take another birth to serve them again like that. So that's a little bit crude aspect, but essentially, if you're always situated in mood of service to please Krishna by serving others, then naturally all these things are taken care of. So, so that actually, whenever we get something from someone, uh, if we cultivate the gratitude for what we have received from them, whether it's kind words, whether it's some service, whatever that is, some gift we received from them, we need to cultivate the gratitude. Then, when we cultivate that gratitude for whatever we received from them, instead of thinking, oh, they gave me only this much, they should have given me a lot more. I'm I'm eligible to get a lot more. I'm qualified to get a lot more. Instead of thinking like that, we should be grateful for whatever little we can receive from others, whether it's kind words, whether it's a nice smile, whether it's a greeting, whether it's a gift of time, Mahaprasadam, whatever we give get from them, or a realization that they're sharing with us. their experience they're sharing with us, everything can be helpful in our Krishna conscious journey. When we see like that, then we naturally feel grateful. When we feel grateful, we want to serve others. That's another lesson we can learn from this section. Going to text number 4. Now, he's describing that Antardana had 3 sons from his first wife. First wife. They were named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi. And they were not ordinary. They actually were demigods, it seems. They were fire gods previously. But because of Vasishtha Muni's curse, they came to the earthly realm, and they were born as sons of this Antardana. And then it's described later on, they got their mystic powers back and they went back to their position as demigods of fire, it seems. Prabhupada takes this context of this verse to explain the principle from Bhagavad Gita, from 6th chapter, where it is described if somebody has done a yoga practice for a long time, they go to they go to heavenly planets and they enjoy for some time. But then after that, they come back to earthly realm again because pious karmas will deplete, right? They're not there forever. We cannot stay in the heavenly planets forever. So after the pious credits are done in the heavenly planets, they come down. When they come down, they take birth in either a rich family or aristocratic family or a nice devotee or a Brahmana family like that. So the Prabhupada is emphasizing the point that so this gives the opportunity for the soul to continue their elevation and spiritual journey. So in this case, however, instead of perfecting their lives, they again became the demigods in this particular example. But ideally, when we get an opportunity where we have enough things to eat, enough nice clothes we have, nice shelter we have, basic necessities we have nicely in our life, we should prioritize our spiritual life, uh, understanding that we don't need to struggle so much for basic living in this life. That is how we can take the lesson from here. So, 2 lessons. One is that spiritual journey will continue no matter what. Krishna will facilitate our spiritual journey after this life, next life, like that. But but if we utilize this life well, whatever time, energy, enthusiasm we have well, then our chances of going back to spiritual world and situating in pure devotion service in this life itself is increased. And there's every chance with sincerity we have, Krishna is so merciful, irrespective of how much bad karma we might have in the past, irrespective of how much trouble we have in our life currently, Krishna will facilitate our spiritual journey. So the more sincere we become, more serious we become in spiritual life, the more Krishna will help us. For example, today is Pandava Ekadasi. Of course, everyone's situation is different based on their family, based on their work today, like that. But according to your situation, you can make little more effort to do either more quantitative devotion service or more qualitative devotion service. Some devotees may not have time, extra time to devote in devotion service today because of life circumstances, maybe like that. Then you increase the quality today. But some might have more time, can make more time today because it's Nirjala Ekadasi. That means we are not eating today, if our health permits, of course. So then, because our bodily necessities are reduced, so we should utilize the time, energy, enthusiasm for spiritual necessities or spiritual cultivation. This way, we can receive the mercy of Krishna more and more. Practicing Ekadasis is a way to increase our determination for spiritual life also, and to way to receive Krishna's mercy. And this can be taken as an opportunity to do more devotion service also today, because we need sometimes excuse to do some things. For example, we take excuse to enjoy in one way or other. Similarly, we can take excuse of a festival like Ekadasi or appearance days to do more devotion service like that. That is a good opportunities we can take like that. Going to text number 5. Yeah, now he not only had children who are described as demigods who came, three of them in the last verse. In this verse, they're describing he has a second wife. Her name is Nabaswati, and he was happy to beget another son from this wife. That son name is Havridana. What we notice is when Maitreya Muni is describing the genealogy, he will continue from this second wife's son, Havridana, to go further in genealogy. He doesn't prolong much in the first wife's sons, basically, because they already went back demigods, right? So he didn't describe anything more about them. So he says this uh, Havildana was born, and then he describes one quality of Antardana, Maharaj Antardana. He was very liberal, and he did not kill Indra while the demigod was stealing father's horse. So in this purport, Prabhupada makes two important points. One is that Indra was very expert in being invisible and stealing and kidnapping. So he gave that benediction to Antardana, Maharaj Antardana. That is one aspect Prabhupada talks about. Second, very important aspect for us devotees to cultivate, Prabhupada talks about, is how he's quoting Bhagavad Gita verse, 9th chapter, 30th verse, Apchesu Suduracharo, Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhag, Sadhureva Samantavya, Samyag Vyavasito Hisaha, Sadhu. So basically, even if a devotee, great devotees, perform accidentally some abominable thing, some very bad thing, some big mistake, not so good thing, but they again situate themselves in devotional service quickly by repenting, why did I do like this? Then we should not focus on that accidental mistake they made one time. Instead, we should see them as a same class devotee like before that accident or before that incident happened. So this is very important for us because many times we think that we are the people who are supposed to give justice. Oh, he did this, so he needs to suffer this like that. So we don't need to judge someone like that. Krishna will take care of them. Moreover, if they are situated sincerely in devotional service, even though they are not able to do devotional service now, right now much, but because they are sincere, they want to do, Krishna will help them somehow or other. Through some devotees, he will help them. So that way, they can grow little bit more, little bit more, little bit more like that. So we don't need to judge anybody. Oh, he's only chanting one round. Oh, he's only doing this much. Oh, he doesn't come to temple. No, we don't need to judge so much. We need to encourage everybody, whatever little we can. Even if you're not able to serve so much, at least encourage for them. And if you're thinking somebody is not able to do so much, we can pray for them because Krishna is very pleased when we pray for the spiritual growth of others. Why? Krishna is waiting for all of us open-heartedly. Is waiting for all of us. When will this devotee come back to me? When will this devotee come back to me? Like that is waiting. So whatever little we can do, even if it means only prayer. So Krishna will be very pleased that we are trying to help him to get his devotees back to him like that. So that's another lesson we can learn from here. So going to the next verse, text 6. Text 6, so Antardana was ruling the kingdom, well, like we said, along with his younger brothers. So one quality we notice here that he was feeling pain when he has to exact taxes from citizens, when he has to punish some citizens, when he has to fine some citizens like that. He was not so keen in doing such kind of work, it seems. So that means that is why he retired from execution of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. So, in the name of performing sacrifices, he was actually getting away from his duty of doing this basically, doing this punishment business like that. So, obviously, Prabhupada writes one important point here. So, you notice this is the value of purports or teachings of our Guru and Sadhu so that we can take the Shastra instructions properly. So when we see the example of Antardana, even though he was a devotee, so we may not take it wrongly. Okay, for performing devotional service, I can leave my duties. That's the wrong example to take from this. In this particular situation, Antardana was inspired like that. because he was not in a Kshatriya attitude, sounds like. He was a Brahminical in nature. So that's why he's not able to do that administration job here. That's okay because of, according to our psychophysical nature, we act accordingly. So Prabhupada is emphasizing that Kshatriyas, even though they have to perform undesirable actions like punishing somebody, they should do it as a matter of duty. We know from Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna encouraged Arjuna not to sit idle. Krishna encouraged Arjuna to do his prescribed duty of fighting. Similarly, we should go on performing our duty while continuing devotional service. Of course, our duties in this world should not overcover or should not cover our devotional service, should not uh, be so much that we are not able to have any time, energy, and enthusiasm for devotional service like that. So we should perform our duties nicely while being focused on our ultimate goal and ultimate duty of devotional service to Krishna. In fact, we need to harmonize our prescribed duties in this world, in this life, so that they can also be seen as devotional service only. They can also be seen as a way to perform devotional service to please Krishna. That way, we don't have this material duties, spiritual duties, and we don't have our head, oh, how much I need to do this, how much I need to do this, oh my God, I need to do this more like that. We should need to harmonize it, seeing that taking care of my family, taking care of my work is also spiritual life, spiritual duties only. When we see like that, then we can harmoniously perform devotional service happily. Going to text number 7. Yeah. So he was, remember in the previous verse is described, he was doing sacrifices to avoid the other duty of punishing citizens like that we discussed, right? So here is saying externally he was appearing like he was doing karmakanda sacrifices, but internally he was situated very firmly that I'm doing it to please Krishna, and he was situated in devotional service of Shravanam and Kirtanam is described. We know Shravanam Kirtanam is Bhagavad mark, chanting and hearing about the Supreme Lord, name, qualities, pastimes, and form like that. So he was really fixed in the hearing, chanting business. That's the inspiration for us also. Prabhupada is commenting here that Sankirtan Yajna, that is what is important for this age, and we should also perform Sankirtan Yajna. And this verse also describes how Maharaj Antardana attained his attained the planet of Supreme Lord very easily is described. So similarly, by engaging in hearing and chanting of the Supreme Lord glories, we can also go back to spiritual world and we can be situated in pure devotion service to Supreme Lord. So sometimes we may think scripture is talking about hearing and chanting, then why should I do this service? Why should I serve these Vaishnavas? Why should I take care of my family? Like that it comes. So, spiritual life is very dynamic, and every aspect of our life can support this chanting and hearing program. For example, if we take care of a family nicely, they'll support us to take care of our chanting and hearing nicely. If you serve Vaishnavas nicely, we get their blessings and we get Krishna's mercy so that we can chant and hear nicely. So, like that, everything is very well connected. So, we need to invest some time. If we are getting this split kind of ideas. Oh, this is material, this is spiritual, like that. And to spend some time, how this is supporting. How can this be supporting to my spiritual life? Like that, we need to spend some time to harmonize in ourselves. Going to text number 8. Uh, yeah, now he's describing further after Antadana is left back to spiritual world, right? So now he's describing his further descendants. Antadana has a wife, Havirdana. Havirdana is one of the son, right? From the second wife. His wife name is Havirdani, and he gave birth to 6 sons, it seems. So out of these sons, first son is a important character for us because his name is Barhishat. So the now story unreveals Narada Muni instructions to King Prachina Barhishat. The name will come up in next few verses now. So that is one name: Gaya, Sukla, Krishna, Satya, and Jitavrata. These are the different 6 sons of Havirdana, who was the son of Antardana, who was the son of Prithmaraj. So Prithmaraj, Antardana or Vijitasva, and his son is Havirdana, his son is Barhishat. So like that, great grandson of Prithmaraj, Barhishat. And you remember all of them are coming from Dhrumaraj line right now. So going to the ninth verse, Maitri Muni started to describe how about this particular son Barhishat, who is the son of Havirdana. He was very expert in performing various kinds of karma kanda sacrifices, it seems. And he was also expert in mystic yoga. Because he is very qualified, he is also known as Prajapati. Prajapati means somebody who populates citizens in the world. In the beginning of the universe, universal creation, very small population was there. So there were great personalities were chosen to become Prajapati. That means they marry and they produce a lot of children like that. Going to the 10th verse, which is the important verse for today to read, if you can read the purport. And King Parikshit was performing many sacrifices all over the world. And for performing sacrifices, they keep kusha grass facing toward the east. In fact, his name became Prachina Barhishat. The significance of the name is Prachina is a Sanskrit word. One of the meanings of Prachina word is east. Normally, we hear Prachina means old, ancient, like that. But this is also one of the meanings that towards east. He was keeping kusha grass towards east. And Barhishat means he was covering the whole earth with kusha grass basically. That's why it's called Barhishat, it seems. That's another meaning of the Sanskrit word. So basically, what is described here in the next verse also is that he was so attached to doing fire sacrifices that you will do once fire sacrifice. As soon as that is coming to close here, next fire sacrifice starts again. And then next one starts here. Like that, he's keeping on doing so many karma kind of sacrifices. Only drawback of that was he was doing so many animal sacrifices also. So many animals are being killed in the name of sacrifice. That's a drawback. We'll hear more about that in coming verses. So here, uh, so and Prabhupada emphasizes for the Kali Yuga, the best sacrifice we can do is Sankirtana Yajna. That means the sacrifice of chanting. And he describes that there's a great need for the people in the world to become happy, to cleanse their heart, that we need to do Harinam Sankirtan more and more, like that, more and more chanting. Because not everybody is ready to accept, to understand, oh, goal of life is to grow in spiritually. I'm a spirit soul. My goal is to serve Krishna. Everybody is not ready for that. So by doing prasadam distribution, by doing distribution of the holy name through Harinam Sankirtan, we can help others to get to that stage of accepting devotion service sincerely and seriously in their life. That's why we all take little time to engage in distribution of prasadam, distribution of books, and distribution of a holy name with Harinam Sankirtan, like that. So, for example, in our temple, July 5th, there is a Maha Harinam Sankirtan planned in the evening. Our time will come. Nilamada Prabhu will share with us the time. So, in the evening, July 5th is the Maha Harinam Sankirtan. We can all participate whenever the opportunity comes, like that. That way, we also become an instrument in serving Krishna by just chanting, by just dancing, by distributing a book, by distributing a lollipop, or whatever we can do. By just dancing also. That's enough. By just singing after somebody sings, a great singer like that. That's also a great way of we can do service. And Prabhupada is pouring his heart in this purport, saying that we all need to, there's a great need for all people to become happy, that we spread this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. So the last verse for today is the text number 11. In this verse, King Parikshit is known as Prachina Barhi. So if you notice in the next several chapters, is referred with different names. Barhishat, Prachina Barhishat, like that different names are given. So it's okay. Whatever is easy for us to follow, we can follow one or more names. So he was ordered by Lord Brahma to marry the daughter of ocean god. Her name is Setadruti. And she is described as very, very, very beautiful. And she was very young also is described. and she was decorated with wonderful garments for her marriage and wonderful ornaments for her marriage also. And she was so beautiful that even fire god Agni was attracted to her, it seems, and he desired her company. So Prabhupada emphasizes two themes in this purport. One is how a bride who is getting married is decorated so nicely with beautiful garments and beautiful ornaments also. So one of the purpose is to so that the bridegroom in Vedic culture sees the bride for the first time in life. So his first sight, the first time the bridegroom sees bride, he should become attractive, and that impression should carry throughout his life for him. So that way, in the Vedic culture, uh, husband needs to take care of wife so nicely by protecting her throughout her life. So this attraction facilitates the coming days, months, years, and then decades of life to be attracted to the wife. That is one theme Prabhupada writes in the purport. Obviously, Prabhupada also writes that this may lead to attraction of sex life, and this may lead to material conception in life, that she is mine, like that. That also he writes. So there's a danger always in both directions. So for in case of spiritual life, we see our wife as also a part and parcel of Krishna, as a servant of Krishna. So that way, we serve a wife as we are serving a devotee of Krishna. That way, we don't develop material attraction more and more, but we facilitate her service to devotion service, her service to Krishna. That way, we get mercy. When we help her serve Krishna, we get mercy like that. Like that, we get to take the opportunity of serving wife and children like that, instead of thinking they are mine, my children, my wife, like that. That's how devotees take care of attraction properly. Second aspect is Prabhupada is talking about how the Agni was so attracted. The sex life is so dangerous. Sex attraction is so dangerous for any, even great personalities like demigods like that. Prabhupada writes that thing. So how are we as devotees to take care of that? That is elaborated in the next verse coming up. But essentially, when we develop our attraction towards Krishna, when we develop our attraction to service to Krishna, then naturally that attraction takes away the attraction towards the material sex life. So that is a way to approach this topic, which is to develop our attraction towards bhakti, our attraction towards Krishna by hearing, by serving more and more like that. That's the way we can handle as the practice in devotees. So we'll pause here. श्रीमद् गौतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.